Greetings. Welcome back to Becoming a Published Author is Fun. Today we're doing episode 9, and it's actually in response to what may be a question in your mind. What is B.A.T? Aside from the fact it stands for Basic Authors Training, what is it? Well, we're going to take a look at that today. In later videos, I may go in deeper into separate subjects, but today I'm giving you kind of an overview. Basically, it's an answer to this question: what is B.A.T? And there are 4 reasons that I have here for why B.A.T exists, why it's there. The first one is called the School of Hard Knocks. Now, I've talked about this in other videos, so I'm not going to go in quite as much detail here, but I just want you to know that early in my life I wanted to be an author. And in fact, I wasn't even a Christian yet at that time. I was just a young man. I wasn't even going to church at that particular time. And I was starting to wanting to write. But I just could not figure out how to do it. And I came across a course. And I signed up for it. And I was excited. And I actually did think it was 1, maybe 2 lessons. Possibly 3, but no more than that. But I got laid off from the job I was on. And I ended up having to cancel that. And I was never able to get back into it. But I did get into a school, and that school is called the School of Hard Knocks. And one reason I could get into it so easily is it is free up front. It cost me a lot more than money. It cost me time. It did cost me some money too as far as outlay, but it cost me a lot of time, effort, and some tears along the way. But let's just look at the School of Hard Knocks for a minute. I'm going to put this over here. I want you to remember that word right there. No. You see, this school had no building. It didn't have a building at all, unless you called the building my home. It didn't have a classroom. Now, this is before the internet, so I wasn't able to go on the internet to do this. This was by mail I did it. So you couldn't even call it, you could call it my living room, but basically there was no structure, no building, no classroom, no campus. In every case here, it would have been my house where I lived, actually my apartment where I lived. Now that's okay if that was today. Today you can access numerous courses on just about any subject you can think of, and you can do it online. But this was well before online, before internet even, and so I was just doing things by mail. That itself wasn't bad, but there was no building, no classroom, no campus, but here's the real killer. There was no teacher. Unless you consider yourself the teacher. And that's sort of like the blind leading the blind. There was no building, no classroom, no campus, no teacher. Oh, and it was, now another thing it was long. I was in that school for years, for decades. And I can say I graduated from it. I could also say I didn't graduate from it. Because you don't get a degree. You don't, there's nobody to hand out a degree to you. And the other thing about that was bad lessons. I learned a lot of lessons in writing that and taking that course. Over and over again, I learned things. And once I got out of it and got myself a coach, which I also do, I coach people, but as part of the course, actually, I coach people. But I didn't have one then. And so I learned a lot of lessons. It turns out that a lot of them were wrong. And the thing is, I had to unlearn those lessons. When I got a coach, I had to unlearn those lessons. And that is why now, today, I don't want you to go through that school. It's no building, no classroom, no campus or teacher. It's exceedingly long, bad lessons. Anyone can keep on going. But that's enough on that subject. So that's one of the reasons, and I would say it's at the time that I decided to write this course, that was one of the primary reasons. Another thing that I need for you to understand, one of the reasons that I established B.A.T. is writing. Now there is writing. I don't have the room to put it here, but it's academic. We'll put down school underneath it here, school. It's what you learn in school. One of the things you might have learned in school is you never use the word ain't. You don't say, I ain't this, I ain't that, I ain't going to do that. That's just improper English, I will tell you. And that is fine for your daily academic writing. But for storytelling, which is the second part here, let's put a check mark there, storytelling. That is, the word ain't prohibited. You're writing a character into your story, and this character doesn't have any education, and he uses the word ain't a lot. That's okay. That's called vocabulary, that's called speech, so forth, and you can incorporate that into your character's thinking, expressions and thinking, even his thinking. The word ain't may not be in the dictionary, and in fact I think these days it is, but back then it wasn't. But the thing is, when you are storytelling, it is in the dictionary. It is permissible. Not you speaking as the author so much, but your character speaking can use that. Now, when you're doing that, I teach you to be consistent. That's one of the things, consistency is very important when you have a character. One point he's talking like an uneducated person, and the next point in time he's talking like a professor. That's not a good idea. So you have to learn how to storytell, and what you learn here in the writing school, or school of writing, or however you want to call it, doesn't directly go into storytelling. Storytelling is far more expressive, far more, you have far more freedom to express yourself. There are rules, even in storytelling, but it's different than the rules in writing school. In fact, what you learn in school about writing, those are rules that when you get into storytelling, they can be broken. You've heard it before, rules are made to be broken. Well, the rules you learn here can be broken here, but there are rules about how you go about doing it. So you don't get away from rules, you just change the rules. But you need to learn how to story write or story tell. And that's basically what you are doing when you're doing a novel. Even nonfiction, you have to learn different rules. Then now, when you get into nonfiction, some of these rules that you learned up here will apply, but you'll actually go beyond that, more technical. But for novel writing, storytelling, and that has its own set of rules, and that is the one you have to go by. You still want to remember this, and you have grammar and other tools out there to help you check your writing, your storytelling against the writing school or the writing rules. However, when you're talking about a storytelling, you have the responsibility of deciding whether that rule up here is the rule you want to apply down here. And again, this is stuff that I go into in the course and talk about, and as a teacher, and also as a coach, I work with you on this. So that's the writing school and the storytelling aspect. So we got down two of the reasons. The third reason is curriculum. Now I think a moment ago I said there was no curriculum. I don't remember if I had actually said that or not. I believe I did. But the curriculum, you need a curriculum. And that curriculum is different for in our course here. It is two-tiered. Now the first one is teach. I teach you the rules. I teach you basic rules of grammar and so forth that you need to know about, and even how to use grammar tools. I get into that. I'll teach you all about that stuff. I'll teach you good grammar that you can and cannot do, or when you can and cannot do it. I will also coach you. Now the difference here is this teaching is at one level. Coaching is at a different level. And they go side by side, like this. But if I'm going to try to give you a visual here of how it goes. Here you have the two. And as you go down, you notice that they're getting closer and closer and closer until they're together. And that is the goal. When we use a two-tiered system, we start separate and then we come down to there. And this is where you want to end up, right there. And that becomes the way of teaching you, so that I can be teaching one thing, coaching something else, because I'm coaching you where you're at. This I'm teaching you where you need to go. And so I'm teaching you, but I might say, hey, you can use this now. And so when I'm coaching you, looking at your writing and encouraging you and so forth, I can say, this thing I taught you in this lesson or a previous lesson, let's try using that now. And so I coach you, guide you along the way until you get to where you have both are there and you actually end up with a finished work. Now that curriculum also involves videos, involves PDF, downloadable PDFs, involves one-on-one live coaching, things of this nature. Now, one other thing that this is publishing. Now you'll hear people say, well, I guarantee you're going to be a published author. In fact, you'll not only be a published author, you'll be a best-selling author. Well, only way they can guarantee you that you are published is if they're going to publish you themselves or they have some kind of relationship with a publisher. The only way they can guarantee you that you're going to be a bestseller, well, to be honest with you, they can't. They can do what's called a niche. And now in a niche, that's like a category itself, but it's a very small group, a small category, if you will, in which you're in it. And there may not be very many other people in it, and you publish your book, and you are number one in that little niche. You're a bestseller, right? In that niche. That's possible, but it's also dishonest. For instance, I could say that some books that I've written are best-selling, and just leave it at that. And then I say, wow, he's got bestsellers out there. I've got bestsellers. I got two bestsellers actually, but they're the best-selling books in the bookstore that I run. That is a positive. That is a strength. That is something I'm proud of and I can tell people about. I also am doing all right in Amazon. I'm slowly climbing up that ladder there, and I'm getting royalties as a result. But the thing is this, no one can guarantee that I am going to be a bestseller. You got to remember, you're dealing with thousands of authors and even more thousands of books. So the other thing is, that goes along with that, is another tool. This is called marketing. So two-tiered here, published, guaranteed publishing, because we will offer you a package if you complete the course. We will give you a package that you've actually already paid for. And then marketing. We will put you in our bookstore. We have other tools available that are unique to us that no one else can do. And we will put you in that, just as we do our own books or my own books. I have my books on there. I have my late wife's books on there. And there are other people I've dealt with who have they're not marketing their books out to the public so much as they wanted the books to be, they could distribute to friends and relatives. But I do all that. And I help people out to do that. And I use my own marketing tools I have available for myself. I use them for you. And that is something that's very, very important. And so when you think about this, that is something that you want to remember, especially the two-tiered part. I've never heard anybody else do it quite that way. There might be somebody out there that does, but I'm not familiar with it. So we have a curriculum. Also have a vision. God gave me a vision. He called me in 2000, in the year 2000, he called me to be an author. He called me to be a Christian author, to write Christian fiction and Christian nonfiction. That was in the year 2000. I got saved in 1973, so there was a long time in there before God actually called me to be a writer. But I've always wanted to write, and I was still in that school of hard knocks at that time. But when he called me, now some more schooling took place, but now I started learning by actually succeeding and working with the publishers. I say publishers because I switched. And then later on, I became my own publisher, which became one of the greatest decisions I've ever made. So, but anyhow, that's what God gave me a call. He motivated me. He equipped me. He did that when I got saved, but now he brought him forward, and I developed a skill set. I learned, I became a publisher, as I mentioned, and then I learned publishing and marketing tools, which are made available to you in the course. So there's all that. Then on this, would like you to do this. It does not matter to me whether you sign or, well, it does. But in relationship to this, I am wanting feedback. Now why? Because I want to know what videos I can put out there that you can learn from. You can learn now a lot of tools. I'm going to, in these videos that I'm doing right now, I am sharing with you knowledge that I have learned. Well, I can and want to continue to do that, and you can help by simply telling me what you want to know and what you're interested in. That's it for today, and I will see you in the next episode.